What do you think about Fallout?
I liked it. I thought it was really fun.
Have you played any of those games?
Oh yeah, I played Fallout.
Yeah,
3.
you said you played Fallout 3. Yeah. So you were more familiar with it going in than I was.
A lot. Yeah, a lot.
I didn't know shit.
Because I played Fallout 3 for a while. It took me a while to tap out of Fallout 3, and it was. I love the lore, and I still think the Pip-Boy and the design of the Pip-Boy is the greatest HUD ever created in any video game ever.
Oh man, I feel a way about that. But based off of how I use it at Fallout 4. I don't know if the controls are the same in 3, but
I'm just like,
I just don't like the UI design in Fallout 4.
Yeah, I haven't played Fallout 4, but to me, like, the HUD actually makes sense for the story, and it looks like something that exists in the world of the story, and it makes sense.
For certain.
You know what I mean? Like this, if you look at it almost as a bit of production design, it goes excellently. It's very on point, and I love the monochromatic thing, all the work that went into the style of it.
Yeah, it looked like a 386.
Yeah, I loved it.
Maybe
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I guess from the production design standpoint, I thought it was top notch. It felt like, I didn't play the games, before watching it, so I didn't know that there were fucking mech suits and
I never got a mech
or
suit,
anything like that.
Yeah.
So like just getting, I may have talked to you about this at some point before in the past, but getting exposed to like the vault people, and then like all of a sudden there are guys that are dressed like they're in the old west, and it's like, well, where'd they find that shit? And then all of a sudden there's dudes. It felt like that old role-playing game, that old pen and paper role-playing game Rifts.
Oh yeah, I remember Rifts.
Yeah, it felt like I was watching our Rifts TV show where it's like, okay, you guys want to play a role-playing game? Yeah. All right, what are you going to be? You want to be a dragon? You're a dragon. Yeah. You want to be a vampire? You're a vampire. You want to pilot a 70-foot mech? You're a 70-foot mech pilot.
You're in.
It's like, well, what the fuck is this crazy-ass world that all of this is like a part of it? That's kind of how I felt about Fallout as I was just getting into it. But, I like the show a lot.
I liked it. It's funny because I read some review that said it was best in the first few episodes. I actually felt with the opposite. I felt like there was a little bit of those first couple of episodes that had the Jonathan Nolan Westworld stink on them to me. You know what I mean?
Oh wait, you didn't like Westworld? I know we watched the first season of Westworld
first season
together.
I liked it. The second season
I didn't watch anything
had a pretty good episode, but in general it was weird. Third season was pretty dreadful, but it kind of felt like third season Westworld, just in a sense that like there was a lot of walking. Everyone's traveling, and it's these little sections of people, and it just kind of had that vibe. And I was like, I don't know, man. There's something. It's weird. It's like, there's something that reminds me very much of season 3 of Westworld about this, and maybe even season 2. And I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Okay,
it's like,
fair enough.
But then it righted the ship. They got some intrigue going with the Vault 32 and cranked up the mystery boxes a little bit, and then Walton Goggins got a little bit more screen time in the past. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, maybe I just got Westworld vibes from he had a very Man in Black.
And I told that to a friend of
Westworld,
mine that I was watching it with. I was like, he has a very Ed Harris vibe from Westworld.
And so there was just a lot of parallels, I think, at first especially, and then it took it a little.
You know what? Now that you mention that, I can see that because I forget Lucy. She kind of, I guess, she would be like the straight man. She would be like the visitor to Westworld who kind of has a naive perspective on the park and all of that.
And then
I guess she kind of played that role.
Yeah, it's just there was, I don't know, it was just it was hard to quantify because it's been so long since I saw Westworld, but Jonathan Nolan directed the first couple episodes, you know what I mean? And so I just had that vibe a little bit, and it didn't kill it for me, you know what I mean? But I wasn't like, I was kind of feeling like, this show might have been a little bit oversold, you know what I mean? And
when did the switch flip then?
Maybe like episodes 3 or 4. I binged them all. It's kind of hard to tell, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of this model, right? So I don't really know. The episodes run together. I watched like episodes 3 through like 6 in one sitting, and then the rest of the episodes, I think like 7 And how many episodes were there? 10 or 8?
I think it was 10. I try not to binge watch shows for that very reason anymore. Yeah. I like that a lot of streaming services are moving to weekly releases.
We're two old men yelling at clouds.
Well, I feel like even the young people are yelling alongside at this point.
Yeah, I think the cracks are definitely starting to show. And it's like a bummer for a show like Fallout, which I think was a really cool show, and they really dropped it. It just it came out and then just went away because, I mean, it's the most popular show in the history of Amazon. They did a great job.
It's an awesome show, and it deserves to be the most popular.
Fallout, though, here's where they went right. Here's where they went right, in my opinion. So, Fallout was really cool. The game, Fallout 3, when you play it, the world, I remember just thinking like, man, this is a really cool world. It's like the 50s, but it's the future.
Yeah.
And then like you can go to a museum and you can look at exhibits and like see the past of the world and like get an idea for what happened in the story. And you can talk to robots that'll tell you stuff. And it's just like, what a rich, cool world. That was actually what was so annoying about having to dodge bullets constantly, because I was just like soaking in all this really neat world building and stuff. So they were able to, they took all that, and instead of being like, okay, we'll take it from here, video game guys. We all went to fucking, we're Ivy League Columbia story writers here. You know what I mean? We know who Michel Foucault is. Let us write this shit. You know what I mean? They actually just took the fucking game and were like, okay, we gotta put this on the big screen. We need the vault suit. It looks like this. We need the thing. Everything looks like this. It's all there for us. Let's just, this. We need a story that's compelling with characters.
It's almost like it's an experiment where, okay, we're adapting a video game, and obviously writers and creators, they want to have the flexibility to put their twist on things, to experiment. Like, this is my stamp on whatever this property is. And we've seen it a million times before, and there's big points of contention about whether or not, when you have a property you're adapting, are you going to be faithful to it, or are you going to present an interpretation of it? And we all saw what happened with The Witcher. When you take a popular property and then you just kind of you do freeform jazz with it, and see how people adapt. And this is almost like the opposite, where it's like, we're going to go the opposite route. We're going to take this property and we are going to be as faithful as humanly possible to
really
every minute detail that the game has to offer. And the result speaks for itself in this capacity, at
because
least.
The game and the show weirdly promote each other. You know what I mean? It's like
people are playing Fallout right now.
Yeah,
like, it got people interested in the game. Like, and it got me interested. I'm playing Fallout.
Yeah, and then people interested in the game, and then of course playing the game makes them more interested for what's going to happen in season 2, because now they're going to go back. They're going to play New Vegas. They're going to be like, oh my god, he's going to New Vegas. I can't wait for season 2. This is going to be so great. And that makes a lot of sense. If you can do it and you can write a good story, and it's that makes a lot of sense. The Witcher, they could have played into they
could have done the same thing.
They could have done the exact
same thing.
You know what I mean? They could have instead of, even with Henry Cavill as the Witcher.
Yeah, he wasn't the issue.
They could have they could have done the
same thing. Like, oh man, Novigrad, that looks awesome. Or Velid, oh, this looks, and all that sort of stuff. Or, oh, they're going to the fucking Conclave or whatever it might be. Whatever it could have been. Like, man, he's getting I remember doing this quest where I have to fucking, kill the baby or whatever that fucking thing was. Like, all of that could have been done, and it could have been met with much more acclaim than it ended up getting met with. And I feel like this is like the proof of that concept. Like, this show did an amazing job. In addition to the fact that, like, it just looked good. Like, it looked really good.
It did. The special effects, and to Jonathan Nolan's credit, I wasn't really bagging on him earlier. But to his credit, he said that they're like, we went and shot. Like, we didn't want to do this in front of a green screen. We didn't want to do it in front of a volume. We went to the beaches. We went to the desert. And you can tell it's on the screen.
Yeah.
Man, that makes such a huge difference. You know what I mean? It just makes it feel more real. It makes the stakes feel, the whole thing feels like, we can already watch the shit on a game and see it look kind of fake. You know what I mean? It's like the whole point of watching a live action thing is to see what it rendered realistically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And all the actors did an amazing job.
Yeah, I love that guy.
This guy, like, man, he was so easy to hate. Like at the top, like I didn't like this guy. Like the actor's fucking phenomenal, but I didn't like the character. And then I started to get ingratiated with him a little bit. And then it's like, well, actually, he's still kind of annoying. But like when they go into that vault and he's like in the robe eating popcorn, that was when I was like, okay, this guy's awesome.
She comes in, he's like, I'm ready to have sex now. That was great.
Like, no, like the dynamic between these two. And the whole time I was watching it, I was like, this is what Ray and Finn should have been. Like, this like, I just kind of get that vibe, like, and it just was done a lot better than that, obviously. But I love their dynamic. I loved, like, the way that they meet and travel together and whatnot. It all felt really organic. They work off of each other really well. Walton Goggins' character...
Well, he is always great, but he was
always great.
Extra great in this show.
Yeah, in every capacity. I was talking with Royal, who's doing the art for my comic. We were talking about this last week. There was the scene in Fallout where Walter Goggins is shooting a commercial.
Yeah.
And it's shot like an old commercial from like the 50s. And she had the exact same thing she said exactly what I thought when I watched it. And is that he looked exactly like a movie star from that era.
Yeah.
Like he just had this real classic movie star look. And Walton Goggins, when you look at him, he's kind of a weird looking dude.
He's definitely a weird looking dude.
He's a weird looking dude.
What I love about him though is he's just leaned into that shit. You know what I mean?
Has.
He's like he's not trying to, he's just like all the parts he plays, like Baby Billy on fucking Righteous Gemstones. I mean, he's really great.
First time I was introduced to Walton Goggins?
The Shield.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, dude.
Like The Shield, and I remember
just another time.
And I remember seeing him in that fucking game, thinking this guy looks weird as hell. Who is this dude? Shane, yeah. But that particular detail of him shooting, and they made a weird dude like him look like he belonged with Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant and all of that. Like, that's a part of like the production design of the show that was like, oh man, this is fucking spot on.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of attention to detail and care that you could see in shots like that I really, really, really liked. And it also helped me understand the world that dude came from, because like there's a lot of conversation in his old era about like commies and all of that sort of stuff. It's like, okay, I understand, like, this is a Cold War vibe. This is the Cold War era. I never understood if Fallout was fictionalized America.
It is. It's a parallel reality.
It's a parallel. Okay.
This is something because
I never understood that. I never knew.
Yeah, it is. And I want to say that I'm not sure. The show makes it seem like the war happened in the 60s. And
that's what I thought.
And it's 200 years after that. In the games, although they say the games in the show are in the same continuity down to like the day or some shit, so I'd have to read it. I could have missed it in the show, but the games basically take place in the future before the war. The war actually doesn't break out until like 21 something or 2070 or something. I mean, I'm just guessing, but it's like in the future, because we never really get beyond the 60s. Like our culture stagnates. Technology goes up, but culture stagnates in the late 50s, early 60s.
However, somebody explained it to me as like the lack of a transistor being invented or something like that.
Well, what's crazy is that maybe this is wrong, but it seems like in this parallel reality, there's a lack of God. There's no religiosity in the 50s and the 60s. You know what I mean? Compared to what it was in our 50s and 60s. If you think about it, no one talks about no one's praying, no one's, you know what I mean? No one, like, there's
no reference.
There's no reference.
The closest you get to that is after the disaster with the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like a chaplain or whatever.
Yeah, that's the first time you hear about it. You'd think it would be big time in the anti-commie stuff and all the 50s stuff, God and Country, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Going to church on that was a huge aspect. And so I was thinking maybe it's an unsung, maybe it's not even maybe it's not even not mentioned. Maybe it's mentioned somewhere, just not in the parts of the canon that I'm. But maybe it's a deal where, because they weren't so religious in this parallel reality, they developed better technology. You know, that's why they have robots and all this fucking like weird body hacking shit that we don't have, and you know, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's why they didn't feel so morally restricted in dropping a bomb on people for capitalistic purposes.
Although honestly,
that's tracks with, you know.
I kind of think corporations that actually made the most sense.
Yeah.
They're like, honestly, we could just bomb these motherfuckers ourselves.
Well, it kind of makes the most sense.
In.
I was literally watching it and I was like, what's the profit motive here if they destroy all of society? Like, who's paying them after everything, after the bombs drop? Like, what is going on here? Like, what's the pull? What's the motive? So, like, I still never really quite understood that part of it. But
yeah, I guess, you know what I mean. If you drop bombs, and the idea is you sell vaults.
Yeah, it's like
you're not in the vault business anymore. But I think it's bigger than that. They're talking about at the end. It's the idea that if they could destroy the world, but their vaults keep everybody alive, you know what I mean? In some kind of future. The thing is that the vaults are all experiments, right?
Yeah.
All the really important people are all frozen and will be woken up in the future after the radiation's all gone to be the only people on the planet. That's what the guy says. He's like, time is the ultimate weapon of mass destruction. You know? I
just don't understand why, like, I can understand why, like, a religious cultist might want to do that. I don't understand why someone seeking a profit would want to do that.
I think they wanted the American way to life to prevail, you know what I mean? And they want. I mean, there might be other reasons too, but I think it's a combination of those things. You know what I mean?
All right, Lulu sends a quote. The main reason the world of Fallout looks like a continuation of the 1950s is because it's designed to fit into the retro-futuristic aesthetic. Essentially, Fallout took what people of the past imagined the future might look like and made it so those predictions came true.
Yeah, it's like a retro-futuristic version of like
the Jetsons and shit.
Yeah, it's like the kitchen of the future, but in the future, everyone looks like the 50s still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've got... Yeah, I mean, like, I think there's an in-canon, in-world reason, you know what I mean, for the fact that it stagnated beyond that point.